welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Colin Stevens. The F2 podcast is back at it, and I'm here joined by Nick Izzo. The guy that's normally behind the scenes is now.
It's good to be on this side of
he's on
the
this,
microphone.
This side of it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So Nick has been told before that he's got a face for radio. I mean a voice for radio. So Nick, welcome.
Yeah, man, it's good to be on. Like I said, this is cool.
Yeah, man. So Nick is going to be producing. He's going to be starring.
Absolutely.
He's going to be co-starring here. But it's cool, like we decided to do this one because Nick has just done something that I thought was pretty unique in that, he just did a month of living clean, in January. So Nick, can you kind of unpack why you did it?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what it was like? And what it entailed.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll go to the origin story here, kind of.
Yep.
I was back in Chicago for like a day and a half to see a really close friend of mine. And while I was back, we were hanging out. Him and his brother. I'm close with both of them, and they had kind of come to me with this idea of doing this. They called it Sober January, and they had gotten the idea from. We're all kind of big fans of Joe Rogan's podcast, and they do this type of thing every October. They, they'll all cut out any alcohol, tobacco, and they do a bunch of workouts, like crazy workouts and all that. So they were like, let's how about we do it? And both of these guys, a little background on them, both were in really, really good shape back when we were, probably fresh out of college. Really good shape. The one guy CrossFit competitions all the time, the whole 9 yards there. And then my other buddy played college football, a phenomenal pickup basketball player, by the way, too. Just a lefty, just a bucket.
Natural bucket.
Just a bucket. But and since then they've kind of gotten married. The one guy's that as a kid and stuff, and they just were not in good shape. And they wanted to kind of have something, I think, to kind of just really give them a jump start and kind of just see, kind of what they could get out of the month. So they invited me to do it with them, and I thought, let's do it. I mean, I was already working out a lot anyway, and I felt like I was living fairly clean, but I wanted to do it and kind of be able to support them in a sense and kind of do something all together.
Yeah.
And so I was happy they invited me and everything. So two of them, myself and my girlfriend, kind of set out on this month-long journey of, cutting out everything in terms of, like I said, alcohol, tobacco, all that stuff, and just working out. And so the way that it worked was you get points every day that you are sober, enough points to where if you mess up a day, you're going to be sunk, basically. So pretty much can't do any of that. Right. And then you get points for working out. So weightlifting, cardio is very cardio intensive.
Yeah.
These guys kind of had a goal to lose weight was kind of the main focus. So
right.
We wanted a more cardio intensive type of program and just went through it. Just went through the whole month.
So, all right. So take me through, first week, pretty easy.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I actually, I think you saw when we were in Kentucky that I actually journaled about it every day. So every night I would kind of write down the experience. And it's funny, I was looking back through the first week just the other night, on the last night. And it's funny, it was so alien to me. I don't do cardio. I'm not a huge guy.
Right.
So I try to lift as many weights as I can and eat and just no cardio. Yeah. And so that combined with just not drinking and I was just it was totally different. Yeah, it was weird.
Your energy was different?
Yeah, it was I was anxious going into it, I think. And those first couple of days I was just all right, I'm going to go out and work out like crazy. I was just very high energy, but anxious, just trying to just because you're starting this competition out, and I didn't want to lose it. So right. I'm just going crazy on the cardio, and but yeah, it was weird. I think with making a drastic change like that, it's interesting because I think you go through sort of this almost this honeymoon phase with it, where this is great, you're seeing, you're kind of finding all these positives and stuff, And then towards the end of that first week, kind of got into that first weekend when I'd usually be looking to go out or, whatever. And then all of a sudden you kind of get hit with this like realism, right? Of like, oh man, like what have I done? And it was.
So what were some of the bigger challenges in doing that? Working out every day.
Yeah.
Eating.
Yeah,
still,
super clean. Yeah,
right?
Eating super clean.
And then not having any drinks at night, or not smoking, not doing anything.
Yeah, it was definitely, how would I put it? I think the biggest challenges were kind of the way that it messed with my routine.
Yeah.
So I think with the way that I like to kind of go about my day got shifted because I was still wanting to lift weights, and then I was packing cardio on top of it.
Right.
So now I'm leaving my house to go to the gym, which is usually a 45-minute thing, and it's turning into a 2-hour trip. And so that shift was interesting. I almost, it was weird. I think because of the nature of the cardio piece, I almost felt less productive at first until I could kind of get my schedule figured out. And then at night was the weirdest part with the sober stuff. I think what I learned was I'm a very like ritualistic, I think, kind of person in a way. I do like a routine, even if it's almost like a scattered routine. I still like some sort of something.
Right.
And so sort of that nature of like, you come home and you you undo your collar and you kick back and you have a couple of drinks, like that piece just completely being gone.
Yeah.
That was a weird adjustment.
Yeah.
That was a weird adjustment. It was hard for me to wind down
so
at night.
Yeah. So were there I mean, did you just like your girlfriend was doing it too? So
yes,
was there like were you just not you weren't surrounded by anybody else that was saying, hey, you should have a drink? Or
it was. I mean, I definitely had some opportunities. There were definitely people that were like, invited us out, like, hey, come out, or. Even, I mean, we were in Kentucky for a stretch there, just in the heart of bourbon country.
Yeah.
And so that
it
was.
Smells like bourbon.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there was definitely that piece there. But I do think doing it with Catherine was good because it was like there was no like influence at home at all.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. Like I kind of wonder, for people that are really trying to stop or that need to stop.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. I think to have that actual like support system at home in the sense of like they're also not doing it with you. I think that was helpful. I think you'd like to think like, like do your thing, like it won't affect me.
Right.
But I don't know that's as easy as it might seem,
because
to people.
it can go the other way too, right? I mean, like
100%.
You could be saying, hey, I've got this goal, I'm working towards it. And then you could have somebody who's in your home life who's like, hey, I'm doing something that
absolutely.
Like I'm gonna have drinks tonight. You should have drinks too. Like,
yep. And that was big. Like her also doing it with me, like was good. It was good. And on the fitness side, I will say it was good too because it creates sort of like you're seeing your competitor, right?
Yeah.
Like the other two guys are not seeing anybody in it. They live in different parts of the country,
right?
So. That I think did give me an advantage because it's like every day I'm coming home and I know how much cardio she did.
Right.
I know where she's at in the standings, and so it's that was really helpful. And
so, but at that point that you made about just having like a support system at home, like it just makes me think of when people are trying to change a routine or make changes in their lives, but they're still closely connected to people that are sabotaging what they're trying to change. Like the importance of cutting that part out and maybe the difficulty of cutting that part out. Because honestly, somebody, like we could have somebody in our lives very close to us that's actually enabling our bad habits or actually enabling what's bringing us down and encouraging it in a way, because look, we can be honest, misery loves company. And people that are miserable, they don't talk like and encourage people. They don't talk people up. They don't say, hey, look, I'm struggling really bad, but you should go be awesome. It's like, I'm struggling and you need to come down here with me. And so that support system at home, or, like it may be at work, wherever people are spending most of their time, like that encouragement and the competition that you were getting, that had to be, I mean, that was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. It was definitely part, like it almost felt like that sort of, you are the average of the 5 people you're around the most.
Yeah.
In more of like a micro version, right? Like there's the 4 of us are kind of going through this experience together. So we are kind of the people who can relate to each other,
Right.
you know, like there's, you know, and I think when you kind of have that camaraderie in it, it's easier to stick to that goal. And I think, you know, that's something that I learned, and I think anybody can take from that is like, if you have a goal, I think too often people feel like, okay, I figure out my goal, I write it down, I write down my plan, and then I execute it. And there's just a lot of I in that statement. There's a lot of me, and I just do it on my own. And I think if you have a goal, trying to find somebody that has a similar goal to sort of create that like accountability partner and just somebody that kind of can relate to you is, I think that's huge, you know. And I'm sure there's probably people who have looked into that, you know, and sort of like the you know, maybe the amount of people that reach their goals better when they're with somebody else. But I think there's absolutely, like, you have to have that support system if you want to really accomplish something,
right? Or really make a change. Like,
yes.
So in making a change, obviously, like, you're not gonna keep this sort of pace up for the rest of the year.
Right.
That wasn't the goal in
Right.
itself. But what are your takeaways? What do you feel like, you know, like your biggest steps of learning, and what are your takeaways from this whole thing?
Yeah, I think what I took away, I think most was that it's very good, it's very healthy to try to do something that you perceive as incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Like to challenge yourself. And I think that's sort of one of these cliched things, right? I think in a lot of, you know, in the world of, I mean, we do a lot of personal development stuff, and just in that world is like, you know, challenge yourself and you'll be better for it. Right. And you hear it so much, it sort of goes in one ear out the other.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then when you live it, like it really is the case. Like if you put yourself through something challenging, you know, like I feel way better for it. I felt like a great sense of accomplishment yesterday when I woke up, and you know, it was something that I perceived as like, this is going to be difficult. You know, there were a lot of people that we invited to do it with us that said no, you know, for one reason or another, probably because they saw it as potentially too difficult. And I think that was a takeaway that I hope I kind of move forward with, you know, is maybe every 6 to 8 weeks. This is kind of something Catherine and I talked about, was every 6 to 8 weeks trying to purposefully do something that's very difficult, right. You know, whether that's, you know, she runs a lot, whether that's, you know, her doing another marathon or something like that, you know, on the physical side, or, you know, I'm a chronic, like a night owl.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, you know, maybe I'll go through a stretch here in a few months where I'll try to go to bed at like 9 every night, you know, or something crazy, right? Some sort of crazy thing. But just to keep giving ourselves challenges like that is something that I think I've taken from it, that I would like to do. And then same type of thing every, you know, 6 to 8 weeks, kind of reset yourself a little bit, you know, kind of clean everything out in a sense. You know, whatever that is. If there's something that you think, you know, I'm doing too much of this. I mean, coming off the holidays, it was easy.
Right.
You know, holidays, like you're drinking a lot,
Right.
you're, you know,
lot,
all that stuff. So it's a little easier. New Year's resolution, that type of thing. But just kind of moving forward every couple of months to kind of clean things out and go, you know, maybe it's my health, or maybe it's, you know, social media, or maybe
Video
it's
games.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And just reset.
It's interesting because it makes me think about, you know, reading Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, and if you have not picked up that book, audience, anybody in the audience, like,
that's it.
Pick it up. It is a game changer. It's very, very simple, but it just lays things out, like your decisions and your choices, like they just over time they add up. And it, you know, one of the things that Darren says that he does is he does a vice check. And so for 30 days, very similar to what you're talking about, he says he does a vice check. So if it's desserts that he feels like may be conquering him, he'll give up sweets for a month. Yeah, you know, he says just to make sure that that the desserts know who's boss. You know, or if it's, you know, he likes wine. If it's wine that seems like it's getting too much of a hold on him, then he'll give that up. Or if it, you know, for anybody else, it could be video games, or it could be social media. Or it could be, you know, honestly, it could be like a friendship that is pulling you down.
That's
you
true
know,
too.
like, and so like to be able to, with intention, really put those things in check. and say, hey, I'm controlling this ship. I'm directing where all of this is going, and I'm also taking responsibility for where I am right now. Like, that's what you've inspired me with, and there's, PC and the guys that we're around all the time. Like,
Right.
I think it's been really cool that you just dug your heels in and you said, this is what I'm doing for a month. And we knew it was challenging for you. And I think it's inspired us to also be like, all right, well, just because things are challenging doesn't mean that we should avoid them or don't think that we can do them. Like, some of those things can be the best things for us.
Right. That was another thing that I took from it, was that I hope you kind of see people's reaction when you do something challenging.
Yeah.
And sort of the positive nature of it. And it was cool in that sense. Like, my hope is to be able to, like, in doing something like that I inspire people around me, to some degree, maybe inspire them in one way or another, right? And I think it's easy to do that when people know you personally.
Sure.
Like, people know me, so the people that are around me can see, like, oh, we know Nick. Like, Nick loves going out. Nick, and he lived this way. Nick hates cardio, and he did this thing. Like, maybe I can do something like that. Yeah. And that was something, I think, on a personal level that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
And I know the other guys as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
I dig it. So, look, Living Clean here with Nick Izzo. We pass it back to you guys, audience. Like, what is it in your lives that you may need to put in check? Can you challenge yourself similar to the way that Nick and his group challenged themselves in January of 2019? Can you look at your life and say, hey, there's a couple of things here that I'm going to make a change for? And, Nick didn't say, hey, I'm doing this for all of 2019.
Right.
So we're going to do this for a month, and I'm going to be committed to it, because not everybody was committed to it, right? I mean,
no, yeah. So we did, in fairness, yes, at the end. So I did win. Just want to make sure we get that on the record.
Well done.
You were looking at the champ.
Well done.
However, we did have, so of the four of us, two of the four of us did end up drinking one day each total. Yeah. So you had that sort of piece as well.
Yeah, and they weren't maybe quite as committed to the working out, to gaining the points
that
way.
Yep.
But in reality, like, you pushed through and you did it the way that you wanted to do it. And so my in saying that, to the audience, like, you are controlling your ship. Like, and if you don't like the way that things are going, you can make a change. It's not easy. Like, that was not an easy month.
No, definitely not.
It probably wasn't even an easy decision for you to do it.
No,
but
it wasn't.
But this also makes me think there's also a reason. Like, you were, when we talked, in the car yesterday, you were really like, man, like, for my boys, I was doing a lot of this was for my boys.
Yeah,
like, I want to see them get a little healthier. I really care about them. I want to support them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you had a bigger why than even just yourself. And so it makes me think, for everybody that's trying to make a little bit of a change or wants some change, like, you have to dig down and find out what your purpose is for it, because that will keep you going when you don't really want to do it. Like,
yes.
You didn't want to let your boys down because you thought maybe if you tank it a couple weeks in, then they would just totally let go of it, right?
Definitely. Yeah, you don't want to be the person. Yeah, you don't want to be the catalyst for them, to make a negative impact on their life, right? And so there's a little pressure with that, which is good. It keeps you kind of on that path.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we don't realize that. Like, we're in this age in our world where, like, we're so me focused that we don't realize what our impact is on other people because of what we're doing. We see the impact that it's making on us, and sometimes we can, it's not that big of a deal. I just didn't get what I wanted. Well, yeah, you didn't get what you wanted, but you also maybe negatively impacted somebody else because you didn't stay true to your word.
Right.
And I think that's something that we can all take from this, the whole F2 fam and everybody that's listening.
That's my hope.
Yeah, man. So, Nick, I always appreciate what you do. Love having you on this side of the microphone.
This is great. This is great.
Incredible podcasting voice.
That's
I might have to give up the we might have to swap and put me behind the scenes.
There we go. I can do the audiobook narration maybe.
Yes. Speaking of the Nick referred to the audiobook. For those of you who have not heard, My book, Coachable, will be it'll be released in April of 2019. I'm really excited about it. You know, we talk about what makes basketball teams and players and coaches excellent, you know, the attributes, and then we also talk about what also, you know, makes all of them successful when it comes to faith. You know, all of us, you know, what are the challenges that we have in faith, and then how can we be better at it? So we make the parallels, and you know, maybe we just have a beautiful audio rendition from our man Nick Izzo here. Living Clean with Nick Izzo. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for inspiring us.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
Let's stay at it, man.
Yeah, we'll get after it. 2019.
F2, we out of here.